It was a warm summer afternoon, the kind of day that beckons you to venture outdoors and explore the world. I was just an innocent child, curious and full of life, unaware of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of our world. My parents and I had decided to take a weekend trip to a quaint little town nestled in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains. The town was surrounded by dense forests and towering peaks, a place where nature and history intertwined in mysterious ways. Little did we know that our visit to the town would lead us to a cave hidden beneath an ancient Native American burial ground, a place that would change our lives forever. It all started when we met an old man named Jeremiah in the town's only diner. He was a wiry, weathered man with a long, unkempt beard that nearly reached his chest. His eyes held a haunted look, as if he had seen things no one should ever witness. We struck up a conversation with him, and he told us about the cave hidden deep in the woods, a cave that had a sinister reputation. "They say that cave is cursed," Jeremiah whispered, his voice barely rising above a murmur. "It sits atop an old Native American burial ground, and those who enter never come out the same. Some folks claim they've seen strange lights and heard eerie whispers coming from within." My parents exchanged skeptical glances, but I was instantly intrigued. The thought of an adventure into the unknown excited me, and I begged my parents to let us explore the cave. After much persuasion, they reluctantly agreed, but only if Jeremiah would be our guide. The next morning, we followed Jeremiah into the forest, the dense trees closing in around us. The air grew cooler as we ventured deeper into the woods, and the atmosphere became increasingly eerie. We walked for what felt like hours, following Jeremiah's guidance until we finally arrived at the mouth of the cave. The entrance was hidden behind a curtain of tangled vines, as if nature itself was trying to keep us out. The cave's gaping maw seemed to swallow the daylight, and a bone-chilling breeze flowed out from its depths. As we descended into the darkness, the air grew heavy, and a sense of foreboding settled over us like a shroud. Jeremiah led us deeper into the cave, his lantern casting long, dancing shadows on the rocky walls. The cave was a labyrinthine maze of twisting tunnels and chambers, and it was easy to lose our sense of direction. I could feel the weight of the earth above us, pressing down, as if the very stones were watching and waiting. As we explored, strange things began to happen. Whispering voices echoed through the tunnels, too faint to make out the words, but their tone was unmistakably malevolent. Shadows seemed to move of their own accord, slithering along the walls and floor. My parents exchanged uneasy glances, but Jeremiah urged us to press on. We came upon a chamber that was unlike any other we had seen. The walls were adorned with crude drawings and symbols, all in a language I couldn't recognize. In the center of the chamber lay an ornate altar, covered in offerings, shiny trinkets, feathers, and ancient fish oil candles that burned with an eerie blue flame. Jeremiah's voice trembled as he whispered, "This is where the spirits dwell, where the curse is strongest. Be careful and do not touch anything." But it was too late. I was drawn to the altar like a moth to a flame, my curiosity overpowering my fear. I reached out to touch one of the candles, and as my fingers brushed the flame, a searing pain shot through my hand. I cried out, pulling back, but it was too late. Something had awakened. The cave seemed to come alive, the very walls pulsating with a malevolent energy. A sinister laughter filled the chamber, echoing off the stone walls. My parents and Jeremiah yelled at me to run, but I couldn't move. I was rooted to the spot, my body paralyzed with fear. Suddenly the ground beneath me began to tremble, and a dark swirling mist rose from the altar. It coalesced into a shadowy figure, its eyes burning with a cold, otherworldly light. It spoke, its voice a chorus of anguished souls. I could understand the voices somehow. They were asking me why I had disturbed their sacred place. Terror coursed through my veins as I realized that I had awakened the spirits of the Native American burial ground. I stammered, trying to explain that it was an accident and that I meant no harm, but the spirit was unforgiving. It reached out with ghostly hands and grasped my jaw, and in that moment I felt a searing pain unlike anything I had ever experienced. Darkness descended upon me, and I lost consciousness. When I awoke, I was back in our motel room, lying in bed, drenched in sweat. My parents were by my side, their faces etched with worry. They told me that Jeremiah had managed to carry me out of the cave, that the spirits had let us go, but I knew something was terribly wrong. As the next few unsettling days rolled over, it became clear that I was no longer the same child who had ventured into that accursed cave. I began to exhibit strange and disturbing behaviors. I spoke in a voice that was not my own, uttering ancient languages and other worldly accents that I've never made before, nor understood. Objects around me moved on their own from time to time, and my mere presence seemed to chill the air. My parents were beside themselves with worry, and were very noticeably mentally and physically drained, and so they sought help from every doctor and specialist they could find. But no medical diagnosis could explain the supernatural changes I had undergone. I was possessed, they said, not by one spirit, but by many. The spirits in that Native American burial ground had latched onto me, some of them not being human, and they were determined to claim me like all those that had been claimed centuries ago. My life became a living nightmare. The spirits would torment me, whispering dark thoughts and urging me to do terrible things. I fought to regain control of my own body with the support of my parents at my side, to push back against the malevolent forces that held me captive, but it was a losing battle. The spirits were relentless. As a young, naive boy, I could only muster so much strength, both mentally and physically. For the spirits, however, it felt as if they were completely beyond strength, as if it wasn't even a concept to them, and I could feel myself slipping further and further into darkness. One night, as the moon hung low in the sky, I was overcome by a terrible urge to return to the cave. The shadows and voices were calling to me, pulling me toward that accursed place. I couldn't resist their pull, and I slipped out of the motel room and into the night. The journey back to the cave was a blur, my mind consumed by the malevolence that had taken a hold of me. When I finally stood before the entrance, I knew what I had to do. I stepped inside, deeper and deeper, until the darkness swallowed me whole. And there, in the heart of the cave, with no strength left and completely overtaken, I offered myself to the spirits. I let them take control, surrendering my body and soul to their vengeful desires. As the darkness closed in around me, I knew that I was lost forever, a vessel for the tormented souls of this tomb, this gateway to the unnatural and profane. My parents never saw me again. They searched for me tirelessly, heartbroken over their decision to agree to visit that cave. To this day, the cave remains a place of dread, a cursed portal to a realm of darkness and despair, as the unfortunate souls who dare to enter are eventually claimed.